Hey everyone, it's Sam, and welcome back to the 911 Nonsense podcast. To stay in the loop, learn about upcoming guests, and join in the conversations with the Noon community, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And hey, if you like what you hear in this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support means the world to us. I'm talking with Ryan Chavez, an EMT turned nurse practitioner who now works as a solo emergency provider. Ryan talks about what it means to carry an expanded scope, make critical care decisions alone, and perform high acuity procedures when there is no one else in the room. We get into career progression, responsibility, dark humor, and the moments that stay with you long after the shift ends. Let's get started. Hey guys, are you looking for a top-notch first aid kit? Look no further than Jump Medic. Owned by a seasoned paramedic with over a decade of EMS experience, their kits are user-friendly and packed with essential supplies. From the most popular Pro Gen 2 to the compact hardshell kit, they've got you covered. You can even customize your own kit with the Build-A-Bag option. Enter the code NOON10, N-O-O-N, the number 10, and enjoy 10% off your order. Free U.S. shipping, and everything is HSA FSA approved. Visit jumpmedic.com and follow at JumpMedicUSA on Instagram. Stay prepared with Jump Medic. All right, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us on the Noon podcast. It's so great to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I won't lie. We've delayed this episode a little bit because we were catching up. It's been like 30 minutes, so we've just been hanging out, chit-chatting, bullshitting before the start of the episode, and it's been really great catching up with you because I haven't seen you in a long time, like you were saying, probably 6 or 7 years that you've been gone. So tell me a little bit about who you are and what you're up to.
Yeah, for sure. It's good seeing you. So I'm Ryan Chavez for everyone that is out there listening to this. Probably large people in your audience know me. But basically, I got my start as an EMT out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And then I went to nursing school, and I ended up working in the ICU. And then from there, I went to NP school. And when I finished NP school, I actually moved out of New Mexico and worked primary care as an NP in Alaska for about a year. And then from there, I'm now in Minnesota, and I work in solo emergency departments out in like the rural areas of Minnesota. So that's what I'm up to now. So
That's crazy, man. Do you mind if I ask you? You were in EMT for 6 years, I believe. You were an intermediate. What made you choose to go to nursing over paramedic school?
um,
Just be honest.
a lot of things. So um, there's a lot of nurses that I worked with that I were like, these, no offense, but I was like, a few of these guys should not be here. I'm pretty sure if they could do it, I could do it, was like
Sure.
one of them. But then on the other hand, it's like I was already doing a lot of the nursing skills. So I was like, I mean, I'm just going to go to nursing school. And like looking at it, like paramedic school was at the time 4 semesters. That's when the community college there changed paramedic school to 4 semesters. And then nursing school is 4 semesters. So I just said, well, I looked at like the pay difference, and I was like, well, nursing school is going to get me a better pay. So that's what I did.
I mean, that completely makes sense. And I've been doing this for so long that I forget the little transitions that happened afterwards. And they did make paramedic school a 4 semester thing, which is cool, right? Because you get your bachelor's on top of it when you're finished, hopefully, if you're able to complete the program. But that's really cool. And I agree. I really appreciate that you were able to do some research and you talked about a couple of people that really probably shouldn't be in the profession that are. And I think that we can compare that to just about every profession, right? Because like I know a few medics that shouldn't be medics or doctors that shouldn't be doctors or nurses or,
Yeah.
probably
Yeah. But
McDonald's workers that shouldn't be McDonald's workers also like you know what I mean?
yeah. You got to remember, no matter how bad you think you're doing, there's someone in your hometown trying to be a rapper. So there's that. So
Oh, Oh, I feel personally attacked by that. I'm just kidding. Oh, that's so funny. Ryan, that's so true too.
It is. It is. I feel like I
Ooh,
feel like Albuquerque, especially. We
there's
all
at
have
least
one.
yeah, at least one, but we know there's probably a few more than that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So we lived downtown for a long time, and we were in a really cool spot that had windows that like it was almost like I like it's really funny to say now, but it was almost like living in a little fish tank because we had windows that covered and wrapped from basically Fifth Street all the way up and around Central. So the amount of people that we would see downtown on a daily basis recording music videos was actually really crazy. I can't even kid. Like, seriously, people walking down the street recording music videos of themselves singing in downtown Albuquerque was insane.
Well, I mean, I guess I could think of worse things that I've seen filmed in downtown Albuquerque, but hey.
Yeah, that's true. There are some interesting Instagram Albuquerque downtown pages where you get to see all of
Oh,
the
I love it.
shenanigans that happen downtown.
Yeah, I love it. It really brings me home when I
Oh, I'm
watch them
sure it
now.
does. Are you connected to Albuquerque Raw at all?
Oh hell yeah! I follow
Though,
them.
dude, those guys, it is scary how fast they're on things like shootings or stabbings or like any police related thing. It is insane how fast they're there.
Yeah, it's nuts. I saw one the other day, like this big old brawl downtown,
Mm-hmm.
like right, like I think like Central and like probably like Second or Third Street, and this dude just pulls out like a Draco AK and starts pistol whipping people with it. I was like,
Oh
what
my
the
God. Do you see do you see them chasing the people on the on the horses too?
Yeah,
So the big
yeah,
old Clydesdales, they're riding down the street, bro. You're like, what is going on
yeah.
right now?
You know,
That's so funny, dude. Do you miss it down here at all?
I miss things about it, but
Not downtown.
not downtown. Downtown's not one that I miss.
Well, that's good. So you said that you had actually gone up to Alaska for about a year and you practiced out there. That's a pretty like that's almost basically polar opposites, right? Because you're going from like significant heat and drought and dry to this very cold, very, very cold. I can't even think of any other descriptors other than cold in Alaska. How was
Yeah.
that adjustment for you?
It wasn't bad. I ended up going to Alaska because I had family up there when I was a kid, so I'd go, every now and then go hang out with my cousins. But it was always a place that I wanted to be at. I'm like a big outdoors guy, like into hunting and fishing and stuff like that. So for me, going to Alaska was going to open up more opportunities to be outdoors, and it did. Like me and my buddies up there, I'd get off work on a Thursday night, and we'd go ice fishing until 2 a.m.
That's
And
awesome.
it was great. Like, yeah, you just drive your truck onto the lake. Yeah, you find what you think's a good spot. You drill a hole, see if it's deep enough. Put your tent up, and you just sit there. You drink a couple beers with your buddies and fish all night. So
Hell yeah, dude. It's something I've always considered. Like, I think I would like to do that. I don't know that I could tolerate it, but it sounds like fun.
you could anything under like I usually say anything under -10, it's all the same.
That's
So
disgusting. Negative
yeah,
10, bro.
as long as the wind isn't blowing, I think you're good.
Yeah.
But the wind makes it pretty miserable.
Yeah, I mean that sounds the just that level of cold. I would love to go out there and visit sometime just because I would like to see it, but I don't know. Yeah, my wife would like to live out there for a little, like a short period of time too. I tell her probably like if we went out there, I could probably handle like a 6 month, maybe 6 months.
Yeah, yeah, just do your snowbird. March to October. Get all the good summer months in. Get a little bit
Yeah,
of fall, a little bit of spring. Not really spring, but meltdown. So
meltdown. Yeah,
yeah.
that's crazy, dude. That's super awesome. And when you went from nursing to nurse practitioner, what was your goal?
I didn't have any goals.
Oh, okay.
This is how this went. Um, I knew eventually I would do like the NP route, just because I worked with like a lot of really good NPs like early when I was in EMT, and I worked in the ER. But I was pretty happy like being in the ICU, and me and one of my buddies who's an MP now as well. We went on this bender one night, and we were just like talking shit, and he was like, "Yeah, dude," he's like, we should just go to MP school." I was like, "Fuck it, dude, let's do it."
Because why
And
not?
he was, yeah, yeah. He's like, I signed up for Walden, so I'll finish my bachelor's and go straight into it. I was like, sweet. And I was like, I'll look into it. Didn't think anything of it, and then I woke up the next day, hungover as shit, and one of my buddies that I worked with on ICU, who was in uh, one of the programs in New Mexico, texted me. He was like, the applications for MP school here are opening up in a couple months. He's like, you should apply. He's like, I think you'd be good. I'd recommend you apply. I was like, all right. I guess that was kind of a sign. Like, so, and at the time I was finishing my bachelor's, and I went to GCU, and like there, they kind of put you on like a set schedule. So I had called my whatever they are, like your student advisor. I said, hey, look, I need to finish this bachelor's in 3 months now. They're like, well, we don't recommend that. You're gonna have to take 4 classes a month. I was like, that's fine. So I
Like, let's do
ended up
it.
doing that. Yeah, cranked out my bachelor's, applied to MP school, did the interviews, and got in. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I ended up going to UNM and got my master's out of there. And it's a big full circle because when I first went to UNM, I got 86 for my grades. So
Oh man. Well, you learned.
I did, yeah, yeah. My GPA for my bachelor's at UNM when I was first there was like I think it was 0.98 or 0.99.
Bro.
So
0.98.
yeah, I was working real hard on not to go to those classes.
Oh
So
man, dude, that's crazy. Oh, well, that should give a lot of people like inspiration, right? Because not everybody has the best grades. Maybe not the worst grades, but they don't have the best grades either. And I think that
yeah,
that probably gives some people some hope on being able to apply and get into a further level of class. I think that's really cool that you were able to do that because they harp so hard on having like a GPA of 4.0 or 4.2 or 3, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's hard when you're working full time, especially if you don't have like the parents or, the smarts to qualify so that you don't have to work while you're in college. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge issue that we're seeing.
I will caveat that with, you know, I ended up having like a 3.9 in nursing school,
Sure.
a 4.3 on my bachelor's, and
Good. But you went
I
from
think,
a 0.98 to
yeah,
that. And
yeah.
that's pretty good, dude. Like that's a
So
huge shift.
once you figure it out, I mean, it works out. Like.
And when you got out of nursing, what did you go and specialize in? What did you choose to go for?
Oh man, everyone knows. Like anyone that worked in the ER with me knows exactly what I said. I basically told everyone I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the ICU and show those goons how it is. Like I'm gonna show those floor nurses how it's done."
And how did that
And that
go for
was
you?
the biggest piece of humble pie I've ever eaten in my life.
Why?
Because like in the ER we manage things for this long, right? So
Hmm.
with the ICU manage them for ever if they need to, right? So in the ER, how many times do you manage multiple pressors at once? Not often.
Yeah,
And then when you
minimally.
do it, yeah, when you do have to, it's like, oh, get this person out of here. For in the ICU, that's like almost a daily thing. There was a lot of meds up there that you give in the ICU that you probably never seen in the ER. So I was like, oh, okay. I always say like, thank God for my buddy Vlad, who I would always have to ask questions to. If not, I probably would have killed someone. Like I was like, bro, I was like, I've never seen this med in my life. He was like, oh yeah, you just give this, and he's like, it'll be fun. So
Well, that's nice that you had the resources available to you to help get you through that.
yeah,
It can be intense. It's definitely, I think you have to have like a very specific personality type to to be able to function and run with ICU for long term. You know what I mean?
Mhm. It's a lot of it is like, yeah, I mean, you get a lot of, really sick people that end up dying, and that's like one thing that I had to learn being in the ICU. Like I had to like talk to families about like, hey, like this person's probably not gonna make it. You should probably think about changing code status and stuff like that, or like being there when someone would pass. That was like all new for me
Mm-hmm.
because in the ER, like we're all kind of dark humored, cold people down there. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, that guy, I got pieced up. He's gone, but we got to get him out of that code room.
Yeah.
So
We got another one coming in. We got to move, move,
yeah,
move. Yeah.
let's go get that ice cream we were talking about, and then like let's get it going. To where like in the ICU, like, oh, we'll stay as long as you need. Oh, and then I had to like talk to him. Then that was like one of the things that I had to like develop as a nurse is
People
like that
skills.
skill. Yeah, like that kind of people skill of like being compassionate, I guess,
Yeah.
which I'm not like super compassionate to begin with.
It's funny that you talked about like short length of stay in the ER versus ICU, right? I think a lot of us lose that connection of compassion in EMS when that sort of like that length of stay is significantly shorter, right, with an EMT than it is with an ER position
Mm-hmm.
versus an ICU position. You know what I mean? So I think it's interesting that you say that. And it's definitely something worth looking into and like if you're an educator, like something to consider, right? Especially for people that are coming into nursing school from being an EMT. And like, I feel like if you have that EMS background, you have a higher chance of getting into nursing or PA or MD or whatever advanced, practitioner position you might be applying for. There's probably a huge disconnect there, right, for compassion. And I think that's a huge push especially in the last few years where we're seeing such high rates of burnout.
Yeah, I think it depends on kind of like where you come from too, right? Like, and it's like the age old, like if you talk to a lot of patients, they're always going to say, "Oh, I prefer a nurse practitioner," blah blah blah, because they talk to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense, right? Because a lot of people that go to med school are, high school, very strict, bachelors, they crank it out like almost 3 years sometimes, and then they get into med school or they're in like a BAMD program.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing their bachelor's and they go straight into med school. Well, you have this, you know, 18-year-old kid who's just been in college their adult life, and then they get out and now they're a doctor and they don't have those people skills that they should have developed. So I think your best doctors are usually the ones that kind of went back to med school later in life, and I stand by that wholeheartedly for any type of provider. But that's just I think there's a lot of MPs that I've met that somehow got into MP school without ever being a nurse. Like they went to nursing school but never worked as a nurse and then went into MP school. I mean, some of them are good, but then it's like I think they lack in some of the skills that you would develop as a nurse. So
That makes sense. And I can see that too, because how many people go and become an EMT basic and don't have any practice and go straight into paramedic. So it's like not comparing, but at the same time it is comparing, right? You're going in with no experience and you're expected to handle these critical care level calls with no previous experience and hope that you have the ability to maintain that calm pressure under pressure, to be able to provide those good treatments.
yeah, I think I've always said like going B to P is it's a big jump.
It is a huge jump. Yeah.
I think that's anything in healthcare, and I always said I wish like healthcare was more like a trade. Like medicine in general, I wish it was a trade. Like you start out and then you kind of work your way up, and after like 10 years in the field, then yeah, you can take an exam to be a doc. I think that would be you would develop all these skills and knowledge with time, but that's not the way it is. So I mean, it is what it is.
I think it used to be like that. I do think that we shifted because we had such a boom in the population that we actually had to stop treating it like a trade. You know what I mean? Because like when I started way back in the day, all you young, All you young babies that are in medicine now. Back in the day, they used to push for having like at least 3 years of being a paramedic before, or sorry, of being a basic before you could even apply to the paramedic program. And every EMT knew every other EMT. So it wasn't like you could just skirt by. You actually had to like prove your worth in the department and in the city and in the community before you could even progress on to be something more advanced. And I do see the worth in that also, but I just don't think that we're in a position when we're as short staffed as we are currently to be able to push that. I think right now the healthcare system is just in survival mode, and this is a terrible, terrible mode to be in.
Yeah, I think that's everywhere too.
Yeah.
And for me, like I can't speak like wholeheartedly on like working bus because I didn't work bus, right? Like I finished my intermediate and my first job was at the jail
Yeah.
in Albuquerque.
That's
And
dude, that's diabolical, man. As an EMT starting
yeah,
at the jail. That's
yeah, it was like
crazy.
it was a good time. And then that's where I met Sean Martinez,
Uh-huh.
who I always tell him like I think he's doing flight now, and he'd like
He
every now and
is.
then drop a patient off to the ICU, and I'd be like, "Hey, you're the fucking reason why I'm here in this dump." Like, he's like, "What do you mean?" And he showed up because he was working at the jail. He's like, "Oh, bro," he's like, "You got to come work in the ER. He's like, it's great. You can do all kinds of cool stuff." I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." And then that kind of put me in the path that I'm in. But yeah, it worked out. So,
What did you do in the jail as an EMT?
you can do it all, honestly. So like as an EMT in the jail, you do like they start you out at med pass, which sucks at first because you're super slow. You're handing out like all these meds that you don't know like, and then you start learning them really quick, and then after that you get faster. And like I'm gonna tell you like that being like doing med pass in the jail helped me out in the end because when I started like nursing school, oh, I knew all the antibiotics already. I knew
Sure.
like all the blood pressure meds, so it helped out, right? And then you could do what they call like I can't remember if it was like Med 3 or Med 1. I think Med 1 was you do intake and you do like medical screening exams, and then Med 3 you kind of sit there and you do like triage with people coming into the clinic, and then you do blood draws and all that stuff, and then you would go to like if there was fights or like if there was a code in the pod and stuff like that, you would do that as well.
That's crazy. All as an EMT and you had to have no experience prior to that at all.
Yep.
That's nuts, dude. It boggles my mind the things that we can do as EMTs. And that's just the same thing, right? Like with the doctors coming out as complete babies going from, and a lot of them now you can complete your bachelor's while you're in high school and go straight into med school, which is insane too, because the amount of responsibility that we put in these kids' hands that a lot of the time aren't even 21 and can't drink, but we can send them out to do these really crazy things and oftentimes awesome things. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how many years have you been in the medical field total now?
Don't quote me on it, but I think
Don't quote you on it.
I'm sure there's gonna be someone out there that I went to school with. They're like, no, that you didn't graduate that year, but who knows? I want to say I finished my EMTI in 2011, and I had my basic. I think like 2 years before that, but I didn't use my basic,
Sure.
and it's because like EMT basics don't make any money.
No, no, it's true. So were you working outside of EMS when you were in EMT Basic?
Yeah, I was working at Costco. I stood at the gas station, man.
You stood at the gas station? Oh,
Hell
that's
yeah.
kind of sad. Because you were making more money at Costco than you were driving an ambulance.
I was making $10 an hour more than what they were offering basics at the
Oh
time.
God, that's terrible. That's terrible.
And so like it was like, oh okay, like why would I go work as a basic when I'm like I can't afford a 10 hour like a $10 an hour pay cut. And then I went to EMTI school, and again like I was still making more. And I don't get me wrong, I love working at Costco, but you get to a point where you're like, man, I can't do this anymore. And at that point, you're just like, well, you're just gonna have to take a pay cut and live with it, and that's what I did. So
That's so crazy to me. Ugh. The pay, that's just nuts. That's nuts. So what
yeah.
would you say has been probably your least favorite experience as a medical professional?
I think overall they've all been pretty positive. I think that when you start talking about when you're new, people start eating the young. I think you see a lot of that, um, especially in the ER. I think there's a lot of ego no matter where you go.
Sure.
And I think that, and I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Like there's some people that started there and I just didn't like, and I was like, ah, homie's gonna have to crash and burn and fucking learn. So, because I at that point I was kind of already burnt out, and I was like, well, they've got to learn or they need to get out.
Right.
So I think that some of the people, like when I finished nursing school, I can't tell you, like there was like 4 or 5 people that came up to me. They're like, hey, when are you taking the NCLEX? I was like, oh, sometime on this day, like this month. And they're like, yeah, well, I hope you fucking fail. I was like, God, like,
Well,
God
that's
damn.
fucking rude. Damn, dude.
Granted, anyone that worked with me in the ER, they knew like I was like one of the biggest shit talkers in there. So
You're just
maybe I
getting what
deserved
you
it
fucking paid out, man.
pretty much. But some of them I could tell like actually meant it. A few of them were like just talking crap, but I was like, all right, well, whatever.
Were they telling you that because they wanted you to stay as an intermediate in the ER because you were so phenomenal at your job that they were like, no, don't leave us? Or was it like, man,
I
go
have no
fuck
clue.
yourself? Like,
Maybe a little bit of both. Who
oh,
knows? But
okay.
I wouldn't say I was phenomenal at my job. It was all right. So,
I was not there.
but yeah. I mean, I tell people all the time that the NCLEX is it's hard if you let it get to you. But man, I'm telling you, I went over there, signed up for it, showed up to the parking lot early, sat in my car, listened to some music, went in there, 35 minutes, 75 questions, I was out of there.
Well, that's pretty good, dude. That's awesome.
You got to knock on wood, thank the Adderall.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome, dude. That's so awesome. I wish I could say I had that experience with tests. I went in the last like big test I had to take was for my FPC, which is the flight paramedic certification. And bruh, I literally cried every single day up until I took that test because it was so much information and the questions were so hard. Like I can't even, it was just intense. So I'm glad to hear that you had such an easy time with the NCLEX.
Yeah, that one wasn't bad. And then I took my MP boards, and my roommate, who was in school with me, we ended up, because it's during COVID, and it was weird because they're like, hey, you can take your board exam at home, online proctored. I was like, nope, my neighbor's a fucking crackhead, and she's probably gonna come ringing the doorbell, and then I'm gonna get questioned, and they're gonna say I'm cheating.
Yep.
My neighbor was a big problem, so me and my roommate were like, let's just. They're offering the test in Roswell Friday, Saturday. Let's just go take it then. She took hers on Friday, and I can't remember like the exact amount of questions, but she had 6 hours to do it, and she took all 6 hours. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why did it take you so long? She's like, yeah, you fucking wait till you take yours tomorrow. I was like, I'm not gonna take 6 hours. I didn't. I took 5:59, but
Stupid.
so, but yeah, man, you go into that test and you're like, man, yeah, it's asking you questions. You're like, oh, fuck, like I don't even remember reading about this,
Yeah.
and you're just guessing at that point.
Yeah. ABCs, right?
Yeah, yeah. Luckily, I passed that one first try.
Well, that's good too. Oh, that's terrible. Boards of any kind, dude, are terrible.
Yeah,
And so the ER that you worked at actually, like they take adults and peds, so you got quite the variety of experience there as an EMT. What would you say was like one of your worst calls or your worst days while you were there?
I can't put a finger on like just one. specific day when I was in EMT. We had a couple like pediatric codes that came in, um, which fortunately they all, you know, did okay.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
but I remember I was standing there. I can't remember if it was like the mom had like postpartum, ended up, deciding that she was gonna, basically kill herself and, basically put her kid in the corner of the house, and she went closer to the garage and started her car and closed the garage. And it was this that was what was coming in. Mom had passed away and the kid was coming in. And I'm standing next to one of the docs, and he looks at me, he's like, "Hey man, if it's ever a time for you to be on point with those IVs, like you normally are," he was like, "It's this one right now." I was like, "All right." And I feel like anytime there was like a code that came in, I felt like I was okay. Except gunshot wounds. And I always miss like the large bores on like stupid gunshot wounds.
People
Like
don't
a guy,
realize how hard that actually is. Yeah.
yeah. Like we had a guy that got shot in the ass and it went like through and through. It ended up nicking his colon, but dude, I missed a 16 gauge on that dude and he had ropes. So
Sometimes, dude, you never know.
sometimes it'd be that way.
It
But
does.
yeah, this kid came in, ended up getting the IV right away, got the blood before the peds team came down, which was great. And it was like one of those situations where we're calling other hospitals because they needed to be in like the hyperbaric for the carbon monoxide and stuff like that. And it just so happens all the hospitals where we're at had like closed down all of that stuff, and it was only outpatient. Ended up, I think they ended up flying that patient out. I think like Colorado or Texas or something like that.
Hmm.
But last I remember, they did okay.
Yeah, to the peds unit. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say if you put me in that situation today, I think it would hit a little harder. Um, because I have a kid now, and I had my first like baby code as a provider up here where I'm at now, and it was like one of those codes where it just nothing you're doing is going right. Like I threw an IO in, EMS threw an IO, it blew. I threw an IO, it blew. I did another one in the arm, it blew. The doc I was with did the other arm, it blew. Like we intubated them, and it's like we're to the point now where we're putting meds through the ET tube,
Hmm.
and it wasn't going our way, and it got to the point where you end up having to call it, and it's like, man, it was like a little baby, and I was like, oh man, I just remember like my daughter when she was that old, and that was the only time like that I've had a peds code where I had to like walk out and like get my shit together because I had to just like kind of rebounce because I still had 15 patients to see that night.
Yeah.
And like the waiting room was full, so I was like, I just got to get it under control. I had to like step out to the ambulance bay, take a quick breather, and I had to go back and I had to start seeing more, and I just had to deal with it. So
Did you call time of death on that patient or did the physician?
the physician didn't.
Do
But
you
again, it's like he was a newer doc. He's a great doc, but he'd been out of residency for like 6 7 months at that point. So
do you feel like you were impacted more by that too because you had more responsibility during that?
I think it's a little bit of that, but it's a little bit more like now I have kids,
Hmm.
and it's like I couldn't imagine what those parents are going through, and it was on Christmas Eve
Oh,
when
yeah,
that
that's
happened. So
rough.
it's like so it's like that kind of impacted me there. So it's things like that. So it's just something you got to deal with, and I think that the thing in the ER now that I kind of talk to people is like, yeah, you're always taught as a provider, oh, you have these traumatic events, you need to debrief your staff, and that's fine. But that's all I do. Like whatever they do after that, it's up to them. And I feel like that's kind of like the ongoing thing, no matter where you go. You get a quick debrief with whatever provider you're with, and then after that, you do what you got to do, right? So
Sure. Do you feel like there's something that we could do to change that process for the better? Like, is there something that we could do that could increase, you know, morale or even decrease maybe the depression that might hit after an event like that?
I think I think if you talk to people a little bit more, I wish they'd give you like a separate time to do a debrief so you can kind of talk more about it. I think anytime something like that happens, you have these bad patient outcomes, whether or not it was meant to be, or whether or not it was due to a mistake or something like that. And like, I think you have to sit there and you have to say like, hey, like this is what happened, this is what we did, regardless of what we could have done better or what we didn't do. That was the outcome, but we did the best with what we had, and we did the best to maximize that outcome. I think once you realize that, like, hey, like you're doing everything you can for that person, at the end of the day, it's going to kind of give you that closure, and it's going to give you that comfort to let you know, like, hey, that's you're not going to save everyone, and that's the case.
I feel like I do agree with that, right? Because we do everything that we can given the information that we have and given the tools that we have. But I do feel like it is hard to debrief, like you said, because it's literally one thing after the other. And I can't speak to how your numbers are where you are, but like in our level one, our bed capacity is 8. We're constantly at like, 12, 15, 18. We don't, our doctors can't take that time to debrief longer than a few seconds. I wonder if there's something that we couldn't do though. I mean, it's hard, right, too, because you have doctors that have and get off on certain times. So maybe it's like, 8 o'clock. And then the nurses are in and out at 7. So like nobody's on the same time frame. But we do want to continue having these debriefs with all of the people that were involved in these situations. How do we accomplish that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, it's like you're tired too. Like you're there for me. Like I work 13-hour shifts,
Gross.
and all the hospitals I work at are like the furthest is an hour 20 minute, the closest is 35 minutes. So not only have I been there for 13 hours plus my drive, now I got another hour and a half drive home from some places. So that's like something like I don't want to stay after to like do more stuff for work.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody does. Yeah, nobody wants that. I wouldn't expect you to do it, just like I wouldn't expect anybody else to do it. Um, that's something we're thinking about, though, if there is something
Yeah.
like a program or something that we could come up with where we could do that or have a designated time. And then it also depends on participation, right? Like you've said, you get into it what you put into it, right? So like are people willing to actually put into this, or is it going to be, well, you're forcing me to do another thing at work? This is just another task I have to do.
And I think that's the mentality like for the majority of people in healthcare right now.
Yeah.
Like everything's very task heavy. It's like even with me, it's like, man, like every year I have to do, oh, you have to get credentialed in this now, and we want you to be credentialed in that now, and nope, now you have to take this class, and it's like shit. Like all last year I spent, my days off going to conferences to get, ultrasound credentialed, because
Hmm.
now it's a requirement where I work. And it's like, man, like don't get me wrong, it's great and all, because now I can do all these exams with the ultrasound, and it's like cool. But at the end of the day, it's like another task that you have to check, and now it's still a task I have to check because now I have to keep up on that. And it's like,
Yep.
damn it, you know, on top of all the other stuff that I have to keep up. And it's like, this is sometimes it's a little overwhelming.
It
You don't
can be
have time.
overwhelming, but we get to
Yeah.
do so many cool things. What would you say is like the coolest thing you've gotten to do as a any type of provider?
I think one of the cool parts is, like, so with ultrasound, if I like anyone that comes in with chest pain, shortness of breath, I throw an ultrasound probe on them and I do a bedside echo. So by the time that they're already, like getting imaging and labs are coming back, I already know like, hey, this patient's in heart failure, or it's not heart failure, their EF's good, or it's a heart failure with the preserved EF. And then you can talk to like cardiology, and you can say, hey, like this is what I have. I did a bedside echo. Their EF's XYZ. They need to be admitted for like whatever diuresis or whatever they need. Most of the time, if you can do that, your cardiologist is like, all right, sounds good. Like you get zero pushback, which is great.
Sure.
But then there's other times too, like because like where I work, I'm the only provider in the hospital sometimes, and if whatever comes through that door is on me. And yeah, there's things that I know how to do, but they're called like halo procedures. They're like high risk but you know, low repetition type
Sure.
procedures.
Low frequency, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like if that comes in, I have to do it, and I have to do it well. So those things that are like you're kind of like worried about, like like I had a GSW come into one of the smaller hospitals I work at, and at first I was like, this isn't gonna come here. Like we're fine, right? Like you just hear because I at this hospital it's a 4 bed ER
That's
that includes
insane.
that includes a recess bay, right? And
Ugh.
I'm like, oh man, whatever. So they're like, hey, we're coming in. I'm like, fuck.
Why would they do that? Were you like a level three or?
I'm a level 3 at that one,
Oh
yeah. So
man,
like
that's crazy.
both the solo sites that I work at are both level 3s. Um, and it was snowing outside, so I didn't have flight. I was like, man, I was like, this guy really shouldn't be here. So they come in. Luckily the EMS crew that picked him up, they did a good job. They had the chest seals on him already. He had shot to the left side of the chest, and then one in the hip, and he kept screaming that his stomach hurt. I was like, man, I was like, I bet that bullet traveled somewhere up in the gut. And but everything, you go through your ATLS stuff, A B C D E. Well, now it's X A B C D E.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a fast exam on him, and it was negative, which you can see in early traumas. You're not going to have those big pools of blood yet. But I was like, man, he's got it. He's going to develop a hemo. So I darted the left side of his chest, and then I get the X-ray back, and you can like see a bullet like right here. So I was like, well, that's probably where that bullet went. So I think it went into the hip and like rolled up to the
Like
right side of his.
ricocheted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So uh, looking back, I probably should have just darted the right side too, and called it a day. I had talked about doing a chest tube on him, and my X-ray was negative too. My fast
That's
was negative. My
crazy.
X-ray was negative, and I was like, all right. I was like, I got to get this guy out of here. We don't have flight. EMS was like, hey, we're not going to take this guy because we don't
We're
have
just
like.
letting you know.
Well, they're the only ones in this town. It's a small town. They're the only like EMS crew. I was like, hey, I was like, first of all, when they came in, I was like, you guys need to stay. I was like, you guys need to hang out for a minute. Like, don't leave. And luckily, like, they're like, hey, our medical director just so happened to be driving by. He's gonna stop in and see if we can take this. I was like, yeah, stop in because this guy needs to get the fuck out of here. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys have a level one? Do you guys have a level one like close by?
yeah. So from that site, level 1 by ground transport is 35 minutes, 45 minutes. So and like flight, even like you think about it, like even flight, it's 15 minutes to get there, 5 minutes to load up, 15 minutes to get there, 5 minutes to unload. So it's like probably the same
Basically
amount
the
of
same
time,
amount of time, sure.
but they have more abilities to like, you know, deal with things. Luckily, the medical director used to work in that ER. It was like, yeah, we'll take it. And like, I was like, all right. I was like, you guys got to go now.
Yeah, get him out of here.
Yeah, I gave him a stop cock for that chest dart I did. And I looked at it when he got to the main hospital. By the time he left the ER where I was at to where he went, the final destination, he had a big hemo on the right side. Their fast exam was positive in the abdomen. He went straight from like trauma beta surgery.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Just to clarify too, for people that are listening, there's different levels of trauma centers in the states, like various cities of where you can be. So like Albuquerque, New Mexico, for example, we only have one level one trauma center in the entire state, and it's in Albuquerque. So, level one being that is the worst trauma that you can have. That's what they will take. And oftentimes, patients get flown from literally all over the state, or even sometimes on the borders of the states that are surrounding Albuquerque. depending on how close their other level ones are. So as you decrease in number, level 2, level 3, level 4, that just means like they can take trauma. It's not going to be as bad as trauma that the level 1 can handle. So being a level 3 certified trauma center, you can take trauma. You're probably going to stabilize if it's bad enough. You're just going to still send it out. I'm curious as to what the thought process on the ambulance crew taking that patient to you, because like you said, you weren't even expecting it, and then here they are showing up. But what it sounds like to me clinically, he was stable enough that he probably could have made it too, because they can chest start too. It sounds like they would have saved him a lot of time if they had just transported him by ground to the level 1 trauma center.
So I think they made the right call. I don't know why they didn't dart him. I don't know. I can't remember why they didn't, but maybe it was even like a BLS or ILS crew that picked him up,
Sure.
because sometimes that's kind of all we have. Because when he got brought in, they're like, yeah, you gotta dart this guy. Like he's saying he's short of breath. They had him on oxygen. I was like, sure. Like you act like you got a pneumo, you get darted like you got a
Yep.
pneumo. So
You walk and talk like a duck, you're gonna get treated as a duck. Yep.
yeah, but let's say if this was like summertime, I think they would have auto launched that from the field. That's like the protocol. But right now we're in the winter, and at that time, I think like the next day, we ended up getting like 12 inches of snow up here.
Ugh.
So, and like the flight crews up here are very low risk, we'll say.
That
Any
I'm
type of
all
weather,
for that.
which I agree, but any type of weather they won't play. And I think if they would have took him from the scene down to where he ended up, maybe he would have been fine. But then again, like what if they're right in the middle of that hospital and my hospital, and now this guy's like, a trauma arrest. Well, now he's probably trauma arrest from like a hemothorax or
Sure.
pneumothorax, right? And he
Sure.
needs chest tube.
Your flight crews can do thoracotomies, finger thoracotomies. So and I was going to ask you too, are you able to do finger thoracotomies, or do you guys just dart?
Oh no, we could do chest tubes, finger thoracotomies. We do it all.
Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome, dude. It sounds like you have a lot of autonomy with this position, which is super cool. You're definitely not turning me off from the idea of NP.
Yeah. So and then I had so like where I work, it's like right now the big fight is like, oh, APPs, meaning PAs and NPs, need more oversight from docs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like anytime we have traumas, like trauma reds or like recess reds or codes, we just call one of the docs at like our regional hospital here, and they pop on telehealth. So the doc was on telehealth screen, kind of watching me do the assessment and stuff like that. Um, and I actually missed the dart the first time. I put it in, and
How do you
I
miss a
slid.
dart, bro?
Listen. I put it in. I was like, that's it's got to be in. Like it was. I had it in good way. I was like, that's in, and it slid off like it went into the chest. And I get the X-ray. I'm like how the like it went into the sub Q. I was like, what the?
You just didn't go deep enough. That was the
I
issue.
guess I don't know, man.
That's
I must have been like
crazy.
right there. I don't know, but it happens.
Dude, since I honestly can't stand darts now that finger thoracotomies are a thing. Like literally just finger thorough everybody, right? Like darts are terrible, dude. Darts are just because you have to keep darting. Like it's gonna occlude. You just have to keep darting. So there's no
Yeah,
point in it. Drop the finger thorough, be done. You don't even have to put a tube in.
but I had talked to that doc. I was like, hey, I was like, I'm gonna put a chest tube in this guy. Like, I mean, he's acting like it. My fast is negative. Like, I was like, I have slide sign. I was like, but there's no way that something's not going on there. And he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah. I mean, he's like, if you think you need to do it, go for it. And I was like, just about to get this guy like numbed up. I gave him some fentanyl.
Oh, you're
I
so
was gonna do
nice.
some numbing. Yeah, and
You're so nice.
the RT actually that was there, he's like, hey, he's like, his X-ray's negative, man. I was like, for real? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, we're not gonna do this chest tube, but
All right.
we're just gonna get him out of here, and we're gonna let an excited resident do it wherever he goes. So
That's awesome. You and I were talking a little bit before the stream about like our everyday carries now, and one of the things that I talk about too is one of the like big sponsors that we have. He's called Jump Medic, and he provides a super cool bag that literally has everything. I carry it with me everywhere I go in the Jeep because I'm that kind of a Ricky rescue person where like if my family member is sick or we go hiking and somebody gets injured, I really want to have that. And I think it's awesome. He offers a discount code through noon. If you have any interest, the code is noon10, NOO10. It's worth it, man. But what is your everyday carry like now that you're an NP? What do you carry on your person?
other than my handgun.
Yeah, other than your handgun.
No, um, so yeah, I carry a dart, a chest dart, and I carry a 11 blade.
Dude, that is like
So
the most NP thing or like advanced practice practitioner thing I've heard is an 11 blade.
so yeah, so like we discussed, like we criked the
Uh,
guy that came in from the field that so basically we got an EMS call of like arrest in the field. Kind of that's all we heard. And then the next radio call was like foreign body in the airway. We're unable to intubate. We're gonna crike in the field. I was like, all right, cool. So this guy's dead, but
yeah, okay.
whatever. They're coming here. This is so at this site. It's me and a doc, and EMS comes in. They get in the door and they're bagging him. And I was like, oh, that's fucking weird. I thought they cracked the guy, and he had the slit right here.
Okay, so they made an attempt.
But they're like, yeah, we cracked him, but it was just getting too hard to bag. And me and the doc looked at each other. We were like, well, were you in? Were you in where you needed to be? And they're like, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure. This guy's also like, he's probably like pushing mid 400, maybe 500 pounds. Got a lot of neck.
Okay. Yeah.
So he rolls in, cut down more. We finally fill the landmarks. We cut into the membrane, and then we put the tube in. You always do these classes like, oh yeah, hey, anytime before you intubate someone, you want to make sure that that valve right there is really seated, because if any moisture gets in there, it's not going to be fun. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you, lesson learned, it's not fucking fun. Because the one time, and I had just like done like my like a airway class like days before, and they're like, yeah, cut that tube down just above the pilot line if you crike them, and then you put it in. It's like not all floppy. I didn't do that either.
Mm.
No, I didn't check that valve. I didn't, the connection. I didn't cut the tube. No, I just dropped it in there. I just dropped the 6 ohm in his
What are
neck.
you
And
doing, bro? What are you doing?
hey, man, live and learn. So you just got this floppy ass ET tube hanging out this guy's neck. It keeps popping off because there's already blood in there. There's blood all over, and I'm talking to the dog. I'm like, man, I'm like, Crip, think about it, man. Like, this guy has been apneic for like 25 minutes. Like, what's his quality of life? He's like, I don't know. No, I think he's good, man. He's like, I think this is a toxic rhythm. I was like, I don't know. Regardless, he didn't have oxygen. Like, he's gonna be a vegetable. And like, family shows up, and we get the full story. He like was eating a piece of chicken, stood up, clenched his chest, and then dropped. So I think he had a heart attack and then choked on the chicken.
Sure. Like it just didn't make it all the way down. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the EMS couldn't get it out, and that's why they tried to crack him. But I mean, long story short, he died. But when you do your airway training, you have your backups, and they always say like, hey, every intubation you should get a crike kit ready because you never know. So that's
Every
kind of like what
time.
I
Yep.
do. I always have a crike kit under the bed, or I have it like behind me, and I always got that 11 blade in my pocket just in case. Some people go even more extreme and they mark the neck of every patient that they're going to intubate.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
great.
going to
I
do that.
haven't heard that. That's crazy.
Yeah, so a lot of people get like a permanent mark are going to just go here. But one thing I learned, like, a lot of mistakes you make when people are getting criked is the hole's this big. and you just need it to be that big.
Yeah, you're just
So
not going wide enough. Yeah.
yeah, you just got to cut that thing as big as you can and look, and
Yeah.
you'll get it. But yeah, that's my everyday carry. And I still have an IV kit. I got my IV kit, I got my 11 blade, and I got my dart. So
Come on, dude. That's awesome, man. I love that. I love that so much for
yeah,
you. I often find myself carrying a permanent marker like almost everywhere I go because it's so useful all the time. You can draw on everything.
yeah, I used to do that too, but I can't for the life of me like keep a pen for longer than a week. So
I've gotten really good about that. Like if I only carry one pen on me at a time, I will keep that pen. I will keep it. I've I actually will keep pens until they run out of ink now. I didn't used to do that before because I would carry like 15 pens just in case I lost one and at the end of the shift not have any pens anywhere. You know what I mean? But if I carry one pen, I will finish that pen.
yeah, in 36 years of life, I've never finished a chapstick. So
A chapstick. I mean that's an accomplishment, honestly.
that wouldn't be. That's not going to happen in my life.
I challenge you to try that this year.
All right, I'll try.
Carry
For you, I'll
one
try.
chapstick. Use it
Yeah,
every single day until you finish it.
yeah.
All right, Ryan. Well, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about anything that you want to talk about, or if you have any special interests or any shout outs or anything like that. This is your time to do it, my friend.
Oh well, so like I think that like we all have like our own story of why we got into healthcare, and it's like everyone's like, oh, I wanted to help people. Man, my story was not like that. Um, I got into healthcare because I saw my best friend get shot in the face when he was 14,
In the
and it took me a long.
face?
Yeah. So it took me a long time to like be able to talk about it. But yeah, it was me, him, and his cousin, and we were up in the mountains. We were all, freshmen in high school with our 22s, and his cousin was messing around and pointed the gun at him, pulled the trigger, and shot him in the face. And I think when you're in that situation and you don't know what to do and you don't know how to help this person, it kind of bothered me, and I think that's why I kind of went into it, and I was like, well, I don't want to be in that situation again. So that's kind of what pushed me to go into what I do today. So
That's crazy. And you said it took you a while to talk about it too. Like, did your friend make it?
yeah, he made it. He's like blind in the left eye. Um, like he doesn't have peripheral vision, but he has central vision in the left eye. He's doing well, but it's like one of those things. Like that could have been me, you know.
Sure. It very easily could have been you. Yep.
Um, and it's like those fate things. Like I remember you have like for these 22s, you have what's called snake shot. It's like a bird shot for a 22.
Mm-hmm.
And I had three of them, so I kept one and gave one to my buddy and gave one to his cousin. And me and my buddy used ours right away and whatever. Like we didn't know what his cousin was doing with his, but luckily that was the one that was in the handgun at the time that went off. So because if not, I don't think he would. I think he would have probably wouldn't have made it or would have had more damage than
Sure.
what he has. So
Yeah. That's crazy. So the were you familiar with the cousin? Like, is this somebody that you had hung out with often, or is this somebody that was completely new into your life at that time?
no, I was like someone that I'd met like once or twice prior. But it's always like that thing too. You got to listen to your gut. Like before I went on that trip, I remember telling my dad, like, I don't know, I just don't have a good feeling about this, and I went anyway. But I'm like glad I did because I think that if I wasn't there, who knows what would have happened? Like I don't know if his cousin would have like took him down the mountain. So
Yeah, like would have actually helped or like froze kind of a thing. Is that what you mean?
he froze. Yeah, he froze. He was frozen. I thought he was joking when it happened because like the scream when you hear that, the scream it sounded very fake. But when I turned around, I kind of told him, hey, stop fucking around. I'm trying to go play video games and take a shower.
Yeah.
And when he took his hands off his face, the blood just ran through his hands like water. I was like, oh shit.
So you didn't even witness it.
No, I was walking. We were up in the mountains, and I was walking down, and it was like me, my friend, and then his cousin was in the back. We were like all probably like 10 feet apart, and he was like, "Hey Ryan," and I looked back, and he was pointing the fucking gun at me, and he like pulled the trigger, like motherfucker. I was like, "Don't do that." And then he was like, "No, it's not loaded," and he went like that. I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "This fucking guy." And then like I keep walking down, and then I hear like my buddy's name be called, and then I hear a pop and a scream. And I was like, all right, these guys are just fucking with me. Like, turn around, my friend's screaming that he shot me. He shot me, and I'm like, dude, stop. I'm like, stop fucking around. Like, we still got like a decent hike to get out of this mountain.
Yeah.
And his cousin's like still like this, and I was like, oh crap. And then when he took his hands off, I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay. So I went over there, and I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was 14. Wiped the blood off his face to see what was there, and it was like a whole bunch of little holes. I was like, oh shit, okay. He's like, I can't see. He's like, I can't see. He's like, I can't get off this mountain. I can't see. I was like, all right. Like, your cousin's gonna walk you down the mountain. I'm gonna get all this stuff off, and I'll meet you guys down there. And I like showed up down to the house like probably like 5-10 minutes after they got down, and he was in the car. They were going to the hospital, and that's like bringing up the level one, like the trauma centers. This was in like a rural town in Colorado, so they gave his parents a choice: do you want to go to Colorado Springs to a level one, or do you want to go to Albuquerque? It's the same flight. Well, we're from Albuquerque. We'll go to Albuquerque. So,
Jeez, that's crazy.
I think that like one thing we could all work on is like being a better support system for people.
Sure.
I think one thing you focus on with your podcast is like a lot of people have PTSD, and you got to think of PTSD as a healthcare provider. I mean, it's like looking at an earthquake from an airplane, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, at the beginning you're going to see some pretty fucked up areas, but you fly over it a week from now, you're not going to see that. But it's those side streets and stuff like that that are messed up. And it's like one of the quotes I heard recently, and I think that's something that everyone should work on. Luckily, I don't struggle with that. I think that's something I'm lucky. Maybe later in life that'll happen, but I think if we can open a good support system, because I think we've all lost like a lot of people in our careers that were from like their issues that they didn't talk about. I think if we're just more open with each other, and we're willing to talk to each other, I think that's gonna give us a better longevity in our career field. So that's kind of all I got to say there.
No, that's great, and that's a great analogy with the earthquake. I think that's awesome. One of the quotes I heard recently was, and that kind of struck a chord, was unhealed people listen for triggers, right? So they're not listening to have a conversation; they're listening for triggers, and
Mm,
essentially, right, if we're not taking care of ourselves and we're not doing the things that we need to do to make ourselves better or more whole, right, especially at doing the things that we do, um, it makes it really hard to develop any type of relationship, whether it's friends or partners or spouses, right? So when you're unhealed and you're getting into an argument or you're getting a little frustrated, something might make you pop off. And instead of being able to think about why that's making you upset, you're just getting upset and you're firing more into that argument. And that really struck a chord, like with how I was even just a few years ago, where like I would get upset about something like that. And now I have the opportunity to really think about why I'm upset about something. And it's been a really cool, like, mind shift for me. And I hope that more people are able to switch into this mind shift. I think it's really neat, and it fosters a better environment, not only for yourself, but for the people around you, which is very important for longevity, right?
yeah, for sure.
I think it's great. Uh, well, Ryan, I have appreciated so much with getting to hang out with you today. It's been great catching up, and I appreciate that you reached out and had interest in being on the show. It's been an amazing episode, and I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, you too, and keep up the good work. And your podcast is great. So
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye, bud.
you too. See you later.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're enjoying the show and want to show your support, be sure to check out the Noon merch store on Bonfire. Find the link in the description below. Also, if you have any guest suggestions or if you're interested in being a guest on Noon yourself, visit the website at www.samspursuit.com to get in touch.